Alright, let's start it up. We are back with more Deceive Inc. It's finally time to do our tier list. And by finally, I mean this is actually probably still too early, but a lot of people have asked for this tier list, and I have been meaning to do one, so it's time to do one. I'm still iffy on some stuff in the lower tiers, but I think I got it mostly worked out here, so we're going to present it, and we'll see what we end up with, because I haven't actually done this. I've thought about it a bit, but I haven't actually nailed everything down. Like, this is gonna be a live run through, so we'll see how it goes. But here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go through. I got the agents in the order they appear in game at the bottom there. We're gonna put them in tiers. We're gonna talk about only one build for each agent. I'm gonna put that build on the screen, the icons. I'm gonna say it, talk about it. We're gonna put them in a tier. I'll talk about it a little bit, and we'll push on, and at the end we'll do a little review over the top to make sure I just have everyone where I want them, and that'll be it. That'll be the tier list. So we're gonna do some disclaimers. I always do this at the start if you've ever seen my other tier list. So first and foremost, these are all my opinions based on me playing or watching other people play the game. It's opinions. They you know, you will and probably have different ones. I may not even have picked the right build in your opinion sometimes, but this is what I've got. So if you feel differently, I mean, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm gonna try to explain all my thoughts as best I can. So yeah, just remember that these are opinions and not facts. I can absolutely and definitely am often wrong. So yeah, just try to keep it civil in the comments if you are, you know, rebuffing me, or if you're replying to another comment. And then other thing is, I only play solos. Really, I only really care about solos. This tier list is only caring about solos. You know, builds and strategies are different in teams, duos, trios. They're very different game. Even though, you know, it's the same game, right? You play it very differently. Things are better, worse. So this is only solos. If you are playing duos and you grab the top build and you're like, this sucks, that's because it's for solos. Sorry. Anyway, and then finally, even though we have all these tiers, you know, you can win on every agent. The most important thing is you have fun. And the difference between an S tier and a D tier is not so big. You should stop playing whatever agent you want. Like, you're always going to have the most fun playing the agent, you know, you like, and you're going to learn and perform better on that agent that you enjoy the most. So even if I don't put your favorite agent very high, I think you should stick with them. You should try other agents, but, you know, play what you like. At the end of the day, it's a game. It's not ranked. It's for fun. Just have fun with it. All right, with that all said, let's get into Chavez here. For Chavez, he did get some changes here, and I'm putting his weapon 2 in that best in slot, that 9-round mag at that kind of rapid fire. Incredibly good. He still has his expertise 2, which gives him that 25% damage reduction, and I'm putting his passive 2 in that best in slot, only having 25 bonus health now, but lasting a lot longer. It's a lot easier to manage, so I think it actually got a lot better. Previously we were running passive 3, which is still very good, and you can definitely get away with if you want. You can also maybe run the weapon 3 is good here, but that's what I'm putting best. And Chavez does fall into our S tier. He's incredibly good, probably needs a little nerf with that weapon 2. Just being able to unload 9 shots rapidly onto someone while remaining very tanky with your bonus health and 25% resistance makes you incredibly hard to beat in fights. So he's our first agent, and he goes right to the S tier. All right, Ace, I'm calling out the weapon 3 is best. Previously it was weapon 1 before Operation Overhaul Phase 1, but now I think it's the weapon 3. The amount of time it takes to charge weapon 1 just feels too long. It feels clunky. You don't get a lot of bonus damage for it, and if you don't actually charge weapon 1, it's a lot of shots to kill someone. I don't think you have time to charge it anymore. So that's why I'm on the weapon 3. Weapon 3, you can kill someone with a charged shot into an uncharged shot. for I think exactly 100, and then you can do a punch if they're still alive, or find some natural cover and reload. Shield's very good. I'm gonna put expertise 1 in the ace expertise slot. I think expertise 3, if you're good with the big blind, can be very strong, but I think for the most and in the general case, expertise 1 will get you value if you don't know what you're doing, like I don't with the expertise 3. And then I'm putting the slow in. I think for ace, it's either the slow or the neutralize, kind of depends on the lobby you're in, but I'm gonna put the slow in because I think it's the most generally useful. So I'm gonna put the 3-1-2 build. The weapon 3 is strong, but definitely ace came down from pre-Operation Overhaul. I think I'm gonna put her in D, because I do think she does need some buffs. So I think she's a little below what I would like her to be, and therefore is probably going to slide along B. I expect it to be kind of lowish in B at the end of this, maybe higher in C if I go over it at the end, but that's where we're going to put it for now. All right. Squire here. This one's really easy, actually, and you shouldn't be surprised. Squire weapon 2 is crazy right now. It just is pick weapon 2 and everything else doesn't really matter, but we're gonna say expertise 2 gets you that move speed and reload speed in combat. It's probably the most useful one. And then passive 3 gets you damage resistance along with headshot resistance for a little bit of time, so you just get a little bit more tanky. Probably the most useful of his passives. This guy goes above Chavez. He's the weapon 2 is just crazy right now. Like this is like the please nerf unlosable. Yeah, he's really strong and just terrifying right now. He's fast, he's tanky, he does a bunch of damage. That 2-2-3 builds will carry. Yeah, it's crazy. Not a lot more to say on that. It just is what it is. And let's go to Madam. Madam, I'm putting the weapon 2 in. The weapon 2 burst crossbow has kind of a weird recoil now. It is a little strange, but the weapon 1 having only a 10-meter fall off really hinders that weapon, so I gotta put the weapon 2 in. I like expertise 1. I think you can get away with expertise 2 if you want it. I'm not very good with expertise 3, but it certainly has its uses, but I'm pushing expertise 1 here. And then passive wise, it's really whatever one you're going to get the most value out of. I think in the general case, passive 3, whenever getting that snapshot on everyone when like terminals are done and the phase changes, you know, that's probably the most value you can get. But there is something to be said for the passive 1 letting you third party a lot of fights, and the passive 2 you know, preventing people from basically getting away with that trace within a short range when they're low health. I think 3, again, passive 3 is probably your best general use one, so I'm going to put that in. So we end up with a 2-1-3, but I could easily see a 2-2-3 or a 2-2-1, you know. And I think I do think she's an A tier. I think with this build you can kill people really fast with that burst crossbow. I think she's probably a low-ish A. It's kind of hard to compare because she doesn't really compare to these two up here. Like there should be like a tier in between these almost, it feels like put these in double S and just leave a tier in between them. But I do think she's A. Yeah, I'm gonna go there. I'm feeling a little iffy on it. Might move later. We'll see. All right, Hans. I don't think the Hans build changed. I don't think his stuff changed with this balance patch. I think he just got damage fall off in general. So we still have weapon 3. Has that great shot melee combo. You can kill someone in like half a second before they can even react if they don't have a health chip. And even if they do have a health chip, you can either like drop a shield and reload, just take a second and reload, or just throw another melee and they should just die. So really strong there. I like expertise 1, that big orb neutralizing. Though if I don't really lead with it. It's more if I do the combo and the Larcin's still alive in front of me, we throw the orb. Or if we have to fight from range, then it can be good there. I'm not really liking the cage. I feel like you still have to be close range, and if you're already close range, I think you have better, you know, just keep shooting. Yeah, and then I like passive 2 so that you can get the slow at range. It does kind of double down on your ambush potential, but if you do have to fight at range, at least you do have that slow available in that form of that passive 2 if you need it. So I think Hans is probably in B tier. Even though his ambushing is kind of amazing, the ranged fights and fights you don't necessarily initiate can be a little rough. So I'm gonna put him here. This is kind of rough. I'm not feeling great about it, but I think that's where he goes. Behind Ace does feel a little odd, but I think I'm gonna put him there. I think he gets hindered a little bit because there's a lot of bounce pad, and you can bounce pad away from him, and then you made a close range fight, a longer range fight. Not necessarily the longest, but like you can make some space there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put him there. All right, we got Cav. I'm putting weapon 3 up. I tried the weapon 2s with their long fall off, but they don't really have the fire rate to carry, so I think it's still the weapon 3. You still got to get kind of close within like 10 meters, but if you do get close enough, you kind of just melt people. So I like expertise 2 for Cav because that's the one I remember to hit. You can get away with expertise 1 pretty easily, but expertise 2 kind of allows you to guard the room you're in, which I find very valuable. Of course, expertise 1 will let you track people down. So I think pick either of those two. And then I like at passive 3, the slowing kick, I think pairs very well with the guns we've chosen here. The weapon 3s, just the slowing kick into fire. The full auto pistols seems great. I'm gonna put Cav probably above Madam. Yeah, I think she's right there. Because again, the kick into spray with pistols is great when you're ambushing. You have decent options at range with your pistols, and yeah, I think Cav's in a very good place right now. You can also track people down. All right, let's talk Larcin. Larcin, I got the weapon 2. I think if you're really good with it, the weapon 3 is kind of unbeatable. If you're, consistently landing that throw or that throwing headshot even. But I've got the weapon 2 because you don't really need that almost second way of playing with the throw. So I think weapon 2 is very consistent and probably safer. So I'm gonna say it's the weapon 2. Expertise 2 is still the best one. If we're talking just winning, I think the expertise 1 is probably fun and good for getting away and great early if you're learning, but expertise 2 is definitely going to be the one you want to help you win fights, and at the end of the day, that's kind of important. So similarly, passive 2 is the one you want if you're winning fights. I know stealing stuff is fun and funny, but it doesn't necessarily help you win. It certainly can. Obviously, there's tons of clips of just Larcin stealing briefcase and leaving and full pacifist runs. But I think in the general case, if you just want to load up and win some games, the passive 2 is going to cause someone to drop a chip. Could be their health chip. I think that's going to be valuable. I think you can probably get away with any passive. It's not like any of them are probably seriously better than any of the others. So probably pick what you want there. I'm going to put passive 2 on your screen. I do think Larcin feels a little bad right now. I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's in A. I think I'm going to put him in B, but ahead of Ace. Yeah, he goes right there. I feel good about that one. Yuumi, of course. Yuumi didn't really see direct nerfs, but shield nerfs in general, so we saw a lot less juggling, and Yuumi used to be one of the key people for that. She did get some nerfs in the form of you can't charge your slingshot while you hack anymore, which is a big deal. But the weapon 2 and its ability to just spam uncharged shots, kind of like that shotgun, is still very good. So I'm using that one. Of course, if you're landing those big headshots with the weapon 3, I think that one can be great too. But I think the weapon 2 is kind of, again, that general use consistent one. So I'm putting that one in. And then we have expertise-wise, I'm throwing expertise 2, the heal bubble. I think if we're using weapon 2, we don't necessarily need the EMP blast number 1, the slow from that. We don't really need it. Because we're not really needing to land those precision shots, so the heal bubble is probably going to be more useful if we can get it off. And the EMP flock, I think, has some issues, mostly in the form of you must fire all 3 of them, and the actual expertise ball doesn't do as much damage as the regular ball, so yeah, kind of have an issue. Even though neutralize is nice, it has issues outside of that. And then passive 1 on Yuumi, like since Yuumi existed, there's been no competition for passive 1, and that stays the same. Just getting your gadgets back. As long as you use gadgets that have to come back, getting them back 65% faster is a serious buff. So I don't think either of the other 2 things, unless you're doing very specific like drone play styles with Yuumi, the other 2 are worth all that much. Now, the question is, where do we put Yuumi? I think she can still kill remarkably fast. I think I'm going to drop this build of Yuumi into A tier. I do think Yuumi might need a little love in general right now. Like, overall, the character might need a little buff. But I think with this best build we're talking about, I think it's an A tier build. And that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about exactly one build. Alright, now we have the season pass characters, or the season catalog characters. We got red. It's the red shotgun still. The other 2 weapons are actually good. I mean, the weapon 2 was, I don't even think got touched. It's still good. It was good before. It just isn't the great that the shotgun is. So we also have the expertise 1 for that charm. Charm is kind of crazy. It basically creates a no-win situation, especially coupled with that shotgun. You know, you can hit someone with the shotgun once from kind of a range and then throw out that charm, and then they're slowed and you have time to catch up. You also have time to heal vial if you need. Like, it buys you a lot of time, and they're slowed and neutralized, and they can't really do anything, because if they do, they get vulnerable and they kind of just die. It creates this really tough no-win situation that the shotgun just capitalizes on really well. You can use the other 2 weapons. Weapon 1 did get buffed. It's good again. It's again just not the great that the shotgun is. And then you might as well couple your charm with your passive 1. You're still getting 25% damage resistance, and you're still getting that ability to change disguises, which has value, even if, you know, it's a little hard to see sometimes. The other passive options, I mean, the amp speed 1 isn't really great. Probably just needs some love or a rework in general, and the trace 1 can be very good. I'm not gonna say it's not. I just went with the damage resistance here. I think it's gonna be better in most cases. So we get a 3-1-1 build, and this 3-1-1 build, it's either like the lowest S or the highest A. I think it's the highest A. I don't think it deserves to be quite up here, but yeah, I think it's definitely the highest A. Alright, Sasori, I'm gonna be honest, had probably the most trouble picking a best build. I went with the weapon 1. I think you could probably argue any of the other weapons, you know, fairly well. It's just, I think weapon 1 is, again, that consistent thing to, yeah, it's got the consistency I like. There isn't much more to say. I just picked that one. You could definitely argue that weapon 2 now with its 70 damage slashback might be better. You might even be able to argue weapon 3 with the right, like a 3-1-1 could do great. I'm gonna stick with the weapon 1, but again, I think Sasori has a lot of options for best build. With the weapon 1, I'm putting the expertise 3 down, but like asterisk next to that. Sometimes it bugs out and just doesn't drop the expertise, and the expertise goes on cooldown. So like it's hard to say the expertise 3 is best when it doesn't work sometimes. So yeah, really tough to put this as a best, but like if expertise 3 was working properly, I think it would fit this slot perfectly. And then I like the passive 2, giving that bonus sword damage, boost your sword on the weapon 1 to like 52 damage, which is like half someone's health, and an excellent finisher. And the passive, or the expertise 3, pairs really well with that, since you know you don't have to like, it's not a stance, you don't have to do anything, it's basically instant. It does like 5 damage, which isn't usually meaningful but can be. So I'm gonna say that's the best, but expertise 3 kind of is rough, so you might try like 2-1-1 or 3-1-1 or something, or 2-1-2, sorry, 2-1-2, 3-1-1 might also be great using that expertise 1, because it's not bugged, you know. All right, now where does my 1-3-2, the actual build I put on screen, go? I think Sasori, he feels very strong in range. How's he? I don't know. I feel like I'm filling up A tier, but like everyone feels very good right now. Some people feel like overtuned, but he feels pretty good. That might be controversial, but I think I'm gonna drop him there. Yep, I'm gonna drop him there. All right. All right, finally we have Octo. Octo is Octo. He, weapon wise, I'm saying it's weapon 1 because I like it. If you say it's weapon 3, I won't argue. If you say it's weapon 2, I think you're probably wrong, but I think it's 1 or 3. I like 1 better. If you like 3 better, use that. Expertise, it's expertise 3 for me, because it's like it gives neutralize, it's great for spy checking, it's just all around really good. But if you like the expertise 1 for getting the intel quickly or resetting intel, I don't think expertise 1 is as useful in solos, but if you're finding good use for it, then I think you can argue that one. So we have weapon 1 or 3, expertise like 1 or 3, and passive wise, I'm putting weapon or passive 1 in, so end up with a 1-3-2. But once again, it's super flexible. If you like passive 2, which I actually do, but I don't think it's necessarily better, I just like it, then I think you can get away with passive 2. I don't think passive 3 has a ton of value in solos, especially with that expertise 3 I've put up. It just comes back rather quickly on its own. If you're using expertise 1, I can see value in passive 3 since you get it back more often. But it's for me, I'm putting 1-3-2, so that's where we're at, and we're gonna go from there. I feel like some people are gonna hate me for putting Octo in B tier, but I think he goes in B tier. I don't know. Is he the weakest? Octo's tough to call the weakest because his time to kills are long, but they're consistent with the weapon 1, because I talk about this a lot, but the ADS shot on his weapon 1's really big and really hard to miss. He does have cool builds where you can do like no ping and can be really good with like the package and managing intel, managing your pings. He's got these really cool out of combat things and can be really strong from that. But I think combat wise, if the other player is playing well, he probably doesn't really win any straight up 1v1s. And oftentimes he may not even win ones where he ambushes because you're starting with like a 20 damage shot. So I do think he goes here. Yeah. There's not a ton more to say about that, because yeah, that I feel like when I play Octo, that's not where I put him in my heart, but I feel like logically that's where I've got him. Now let's quickly review this. because this video is not long enough yet. This is definitely true. This is definitely true. This is definitely true. I feel good about that one. This one, I could be argued out of this position. I think he's strong. Yeah, I'm gonna leave him there. Madam, gonna leave there. She's pretty strong with that burst. The uncharged spam is just really good. Larcin weapon 2 here is very good, but could use a little power boost. That's why he's top of B. Ace definitely had probably the biggest fall from Grace due to her charge time, and also just the weapon she used as best in slot here changed, which is kind of a big deal. That didn't happen to a lot of people on the list. I mean, it happened here and here, and they moved pretty far too. She just went the opposite direction. Hans, I think, has been right here for most of these tier lists I've done, and I don't think he meaningfully changed, so that makes sense. And Octo, I'm conflicted on Octo, I'm not gonna lie. You could argue that I should push him here. You could argue that I should push him up here, maybe. I don't think he can go past Cav, I'm not gonna lie. If you're telling me he's going past Cav, I'm gonna think you might be crazy. But I'd be open to hear an argument that he actually goes up here. But I'm gonna leave him there, because let's start some fights in the comments. Don't start fights in the comments. But I'm kind of expecting that to be the biggest one. So yeah, I think I'm not necessarily happy about where some people landed, but I stand behind what I did and what I said. So this is it. This is the tier list. It's pretty good, all things considered. I think it's decently balanced, even though these are like B and these are like A. There's not a big difference here between like Octo and Sasori, as I was saying. Like, I think these are all perfectly playable. I think once you get to red and Chavez and Squire especially, it starts to get a little too powerful. There's been a little too much power given to these agents. But I think if you're playing in these bottom 10, nope, 7, there's only 11 agents, there's only 7. If you're playing in these bottom like 7, maybe 8, the Cav's kind of on that fence of maybe too strong. You're in these bottom 7-ish, I think you're doing great. Maybe if you're in these top 4, especially these top 2, very powerful, just incredibly powerful up here on this top end. So that's our tier list. I'm sure there's some controversy. I'm sure people are going to tell me I'm wrong, and I probably am. There's every chance in another 2 weeks I'll come back and be like, yep, that was all wrong and we need to do a new tier list. But this is my thoughts after the first like week or so of Operation Overhaul Phase 1. And well, it gives us a good place to go from here. And that's really it. Before this video hits like the 30-minute mark, I'm gonna sign off because I'd rather not go that long. So obviously I've already said comment a bunch already, but if you haven't, feel free to. Do like the video if you want to see more of these tier lists. And of course, if you don't like tier list content, hit that dislike button so that I know. I'll probably still make them though, so you might just have to not watch those in the future, because it is important and useful for me to get my thoughts out like this. And yeah, like the video if you did enjoy, and subscribe for daily Deceive Inc content. I hope we're all enjoying Operation Overhaul Phase 1 as much as I am, and I will see you all in the next one.